Hello and welcome live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next 30 minutes, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu orders full force in Lebanon despite global call for 21-hour ceasefire. The Kremlin says changes to the country's nuclear policy are a signal to the West that there will be consequences if they participate in attacks on Russia. Floridians prepare for the arrival of Hurricane Helene. India's weather department issues alerts for 6 states, including heavy rainfall in Mumbai. Prime Minister Modi's Pune visit is cancelled due to heavy rains. And the Indian chess contingent holds a freewheeling discussion with Prime Minister Modi, shares ideas on including AI in sports, thanks the PM for relentless support. The United States, France and other key allies are pushing for an immediate 21-day ceasefire along the volatile Israel-Lebanon border, also backing a truce in Gaza. This call to action follows intense United Nations discussions on Wednesday. As Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu prepares to address the UN General Assembly on Friday, he faces a critical test of diplomacy.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will have a rather busy schedule at the UNGA as world leaders scramble to get a peace deal done on the sidelines. The US, France and other key allies are urging an immediate 21-day ceasefire along the volatile Israel-Lebanon border following intense UN discussions. The ceasefire would apply to the Israel-Lebanon Blue Line, the demarcation line between Lebanon and Israel, and would allow the parties to negotiate towards a potential diplomatic resolution of the conflict. A senior Biden administration official said,
"We are gravely concerned by reports that hundreds of Lebanese civilians have died in recent days. We further mourn the deaths of 2 UNHCR staff. At the same time, and as we have repeatedly made clear, the Security Council cannot ignore the origins of this particular conflict between Israel and Hezbollah.
In recent days, we have worked with our American partners on a temporary ceasefire platform of 21 days to allow for negotiations. This platform will be made public very soon, and we are counting on both parties to accept it without delay in order to protect civilian populations and allow for diplomatic negotiations to begin."
Many world leaders have pressed for immediate ceasefire to ease tensions in West Asia.
The region is on the brink. We need an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Lebanese Hezbollah and the implementation of a political plan which allows Israeli and Lebanese civilians to return to their homes to live in peace and security.
Meanwhile, Israel signaled acceptance to diplomatic solutions but extended a stern warning about to deploy other options. At the same time, Israel has indicated that strikes in Lebanon would continue to prepare for a possible ground operation. Nations are now urging their citizens to get out of Lebanon. Bureau Report, DD India.
And the Indian Army recently conducted a well-coordinated medical evacuation of an injured Indian Army personnel from Israel. The critical care air evacuation medical team was led by Lieutenant Colonel Anuj Singh, along with 2 trained paramedics. The soldier was evacuated from the United Nations Disengagement Observer Force in Golan Heights by an air ambulance. The mission involved coordination with Indian Air Force, Ministry of External Affairs and other agencies. The injured soldier was provided state-of-the-art critical care support en route and is now being treated at the Army Hospital RNR in New Delhi. Meanwhile, the Indian embassy in Beirut has asked the Indians living in Lebanon to leave the country as soon as possible and further advised the people to exercise extreme caution amid the escalating situation. And Australia has also urged its citizens living in Lebanon to leave, flagging a risk that Beirut airport may close and the difficulty of evacuating large numbers if the situation worsens. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said his government had made contingency plans that could include evacuations by sea. And now, with swiftly changing global landscape, which had thrown up new threats and risks for Russia, President Vladimir Putin outlined the country's nuclear weapons doctrine, which the Kremlin says should be considered as a signal to the West. The decision to change Russia's official nuclear doctrine is the Kremlin's answer to deliberations in the United States and Britain about whether or not to give Ukraine permission to fire conventional Western missiles into Russia. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said adjustments to a document called the Foundations of State Policy in the Sphere of Nuclear Deterrence had been formulated. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is set to meet US President Joe Biden at the White House on Thursday. The meeting, being held amid intensifying global focus on Ukraine, comes as Zelensky prepares to unveil his ambitious plan of victory in Ukraine's conflict with Russia.
US President Joe Biden has promised swift action to accelerate support for Ukraine. Biden was addressing world leaders, including Zelensky, on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly when he reaffirmed his administration's unwavering commitment to Kyiv.
We're committed to providing Ukraine with the resources it needs to build back stronger than it was before. You're not alone in this fight.
But Zelensky's visit isn't just about promises, it's about delivering on them. Zelensky is pushing hard for Western nations, especially the US, to double down on their support. On Wednesday, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced a fresh $375 million in military aid to Ukraine, including HIMARS rocket launchers, Javelin missiles, and light tactical vehicles. The Biden administration is also expected to notify Congress of plans for an additional $5.5 billion in military aid to be deployed over the coming months. The Ukrainian president is not only advocating for immediate military aid, but also laying out a vision for Ukraine's future, one that he believes could turn the tide of the war. At the UN earlier this week, Zelensky called for a just peace and urged global leaders to back his proposal to bring the conflict to an end. He insists that action, not just talks, is needed.
This war can't be calmed by talks. Action is needed.
But what exactly is Zelensky's victory plan? Though the details remain under wraps, sources say it's designed as a bridge to stop the war, with the ultimate goal of forcing Russia to the negotiating table. Harshita Oberoi, DD India.
Meanwhile, Russia on Thursday fired 78 attack drones and 6 missiles over various regions across the country, damaging critical infrastructure. The attack was repelled by Kyiv's military, during which its air defenses destroyed 66 drones and 4 missiles. Earlier, 1 woman was killed in a missile strike on southern Ukraine's Odessa, and another 8 people were wounded in a guided bomb attack on the southeastern city of Zaporizhia. Russia has regularly sent drones and missiles over Ukrainian towns and cities far behind the front line since invading its neighbor in February 2022. Down to the Asia-Pacific, Taiwan continues to bear China's increasing military activities and live-fire drills around the island, saying Beijing presents a serious challenge to its neighbors. On Thursday, the Taiwanese Defense Ministry said it had detected a second day of large-scale Chinese military activities nearby, with 29 aircraft engaged in a joint combat readiness patrol with Chinese warships. The day before, it had warned of 43 Chinese military aircraft operating around the island. China, which claims democratic Taiwan as part of its territory, sends warplanes, drones and naval vessels around the island nearly every day. Another annoyed Chinese neighbor, Japan, has sent its warship through the sensitive Taiwan Strait for the first time to assert its freedom of navigation. The Sazanami entered the strait from the East China Sea on Wednesday morning, spending more than 10 hours sailing south to complete the passage. Reports say the passage was conducted with naval ships from Australia and New Zealand ahead of planned drills in the disputed South China Sea. The three ships' transit comes a week after the Chinese aircraft carrier Liaoning sailed for the first time between two Japanese islands near Taiwan. Now, the world has been reeling under extreme weather patterns. An increasingly powerful hurricane threatened catastrophe. Dangerous storm surges and flooding was also forecast to smash into Florida's Gulf Coast on Thursday as thousands of residents evacuated towns along the U.S. state's shoreline, all because of a hurricane.
Weatherman has worrying news for Florida residents. Hurricane Helene is strengthening and could hit Florida's Gulf Coast on Thursday as a Category 4 storm, producing catastrophic winds of up to 156 miles per hour. Helene entered the Gulf of Mexico on Wednesday and was expected to pick up strength from the Gulf's warm waters before making an expected landfall in Florida's Panhandle on Thursday evening. More than 40 million people in Florida, Georgia and Alabama were under hurricane and tropical storm warnings, signaling a likelihood of life-threatening inundation. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis expanded state of emergency to nearly all of Florida's 67 counties.
Of course, began preparing over the weekend. On Monday, I signed an executive order. We now have 61 of Florida's 67 counties that are in a state of emergency, and it's been able to help surge resources and help with preparations there.
Numerous evacuations are being ordered along Florida's Gulf Coast, and dozens of counties have announced school closures. Many residents are preparing for possible heavy flooding, while Georgia have also declared emergencies ahead of the storm and said that Helene will have a significant impact on Georgia.
I don't want to put fear in some folks' voice. We're all concerned about the impacts, but there's the potential of even mudslides that the National Hurricane Center has been discussing in our mountainous areas, just because the ground is going to be so saturated.
The White House has assured all assistance to Florida and other states in the path of the storm. Earlier, Hurricane Helene flooded Cancun, bringing ferocious winds and heavy rain.
Now, heavy rainfall in Mumbai on Wednesday has left low-lying areas inundated and significant traffic disruptions across the city. The Indian Met Department has issued an orange alert for Mumbai and Thane, while parts of Palghar remain under red alert. In the wake of the alert, schools and colleges were closed in Mumbai, Pune, Thane as well as Palghar. Mumbai's municipal corporation is constantly reviewing the situation and has advised people of the city to only step out of their homes if required. And for Friday, the Met Department has forecast that very heavy rainfall may take place over Gujarat, central Maharashtra, sub-Himalayan West Bengal and Sikkim, Bihar, East Uttar Pradesh, Konkan, Goa as well as Uttarakhand. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live, after the small screen clash of Harris and Trump, their vice presidential nominees are prepping for their slugfest. German companies plan to increase their investments in India as they remain optimistic about the growth forecast. And the annual Farmer Summit marks a 10-year milestone of Make in India, celebrating its success in pharmaceuticals with 50 new plants and 50 more planned.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, after former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris took the debate stage this month, their running mates are also preparing to do the same next week in New York City. More in this report.
The next high voltage engagement in the US presidential polls is when US vice presidential Republican candidate J.D. Vance and Democratic candidate Tim Walz will collide in a vice presidential debate next week. The VP square-off will give both men the opportunity to make persuasive closing arguments on behalf of their campaigns. At a campaign rally in Michigan, Vance said he wants to use the upcoming debate against Tim to show Americans how to make their lives better.
Well, look, I think the way I see the debate is very simple. It's an opportunity where for 90 minutes, Governor Walz and I are going to debate the issues that matter to the American people. And what I'm going to try to show is very simple, that the candidacy, the team of substance, the team that actually has a record that we're proud of instead of we're running away from, and the team that actually has a plan is the team of Trump-Vance. And that's what I'm going to try to do. Is look,
Meanwhile, economic plans remain the high point agenda for both the candidates. After Donald Trump revealed his economic revival points, Democratic nominee and US Vice President Kamala Harris detailed her economic plan to boost the US middle class.
I have pledged that building a strong middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. The third pillar of our opportunity economy is leading the world in the industries of the future and making sure America, not China, wins the competition for the 21st century. So I will recommit the nation to global leadership in the sectors that will define the next century. We will invest in biomanufacturing and aerospace, remain dominant in AI and quantum computing, blockchain and other emerging technologies, expand our lead in clean energy innovation and manufacturing.
On the other side, after he was briefed by US intelligence on threats from Iran to assassinate him, Donald Trump issued a warning to the Asian nation.
As you know, there have been 2 assassination attempts on my life that we know of, and they may or may not involve, but possibly do, Iran. But we've been threatened very directly by Iran. And I think you have to let them know, because the best way to do it is through the office of the president, that you do any attacks on former presidents or candidates for president, your country gets blown to smithereens, as we say.
Meanwhile, the US Congress passed a stopgap bill on Wednesday to avert a partial government shutdown next week, despite House Republicans' revolt against their leadership's failure to achieve new federal spending cuts. The bill now goes to President Joe Biden to sign into law before current funding expires at midnight Monday.
New York Mayor Eric Adams was indicted on federal crime charges following multiple probes into alleged corruption. The indictment remains sealed but would make Adams the first mayor in the city's history to be charged while in office. It was not immediately clear whether Adams would be arrested or voluntarily surrender. Federal prosecutors are expected to unseal the indictment on Thursday, when Adams will make an initial court appearance, ahead of which Adams released a video statement where he vowed to fight the charges and remain in office. The reported charges come less than a year after federal agents seized Adams's electronic devices and searched the home of Brianna Suggs, his chief fundraiser. Sudan's army launched artillery and airstrikes in Sudan's capital on Thursday in its biggest operation to regain control in the region. The push by the army, which lost control of most of the capital at the start of the conflict, came ahead of an address by its commander, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, on the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Heavy bombardments and clashes were reported as army troops tried to cross bridges across the Nile, connecting the three adjoining cities that make up the greater capital Khartoum, Omdurman and Bari. Diplomatic efforts by the United States and other powers have faltered, with the army refusing to attend talks last month in Switzerland. As German companies continue to remain optimistic about the growth forecast in India, DD India's Jessica Taneja caught up with German Ambassador to India, Dr. Philip Ackermann, to talk about the different sectors that could see more investments in the future.
We have with us Dr. Philip Ackermann. He is the German Ambassador to India. Thank you for speaking to DD India again, Ambassador. Interesting conversation happening around the German business investing in India. There have been reports in the past as well that we could see an increase in investment along with more companies coming to India. Tell us more about that and how are we seeing this moving forward?
There was an interesting outcome of a study a big accountant firm, KPMG, has made within the German business here in India, and the result is quite stunning. More than 80% of the German businesses here seem to be so happy that they expect more profit in the years to come. The same amount roughly wants to reinvest the money in India, and what we feel in the embassy is also more interest from German business coming to India in the years to come. So I think that our trade volume will rise in the next years. It's already quite high with $33 billion, but it will rise in the next years, and so will investment from the German side.
Right, and our main sectors of cooperation have been automobiles, automotive parts, chemicals as well. We're looking to expand that now into renewable energy sector, to which extent a summit was also held in Gujarat,
Right.
Reinvest Summit.
Right.
Tell us about the significance of the expansion of the other sectors that we're seeing right now.
So I would say that the whole question of climate change is very high on the agenda, the bilateral agenda. That's government to government, but also business to business. And you'll find a lot of German companies who are invested in this renewable energy business here in India. You'll find a lot of them on top level like Siemens, but also small and medium-sized enterprises are here. They see India as a very creative environment to find new solutions when it comes to renewables. And we have some very interesting firms, some interesting businesses here who are involved in very progressive and very modern way of making energy out of non-fossil fuels, and that's very good, and I think we'll see more of that. And you refer to the RE Invest summit or fair in Gujarat, where our Minister for Cooperation and Development came, met the Prime Minister, and we created a platform between German and Indian businesses to exchange notes, to exchange knowledge on how to invest better in India, in Germany, but also in the rest of the world.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is in the United States to attend the 79th United Nations General Assembly. On the sidelines, Dr. Jaishankar joined foreign ministers from Latvia and Guyana at the Observer Research Foundation's discussion, Tiger's Tail, Crafting a New Development Paradigm. Dr. Jaishankar stressed the need for economic democratization, enhanced mobility, skill development and connecting expansion to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals during his ongoing US visit. India's Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal held a very productive visit to Australia to further strengthen bilateral trade and investment in several priority sectors and open new areas of cooperation. During the visit, work and holiday visa, a key commitment under India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, will be operational from the 1st of October 2024. This will facilitate mobility and deepen people-to-people connect between India and Australia, given Minister Goyal also stressed the vast potential for collaboration in areas such as education, skill development, tourism, critical minerals and sustainability. He added that the focus was on strengthening trade ties to achieve the shared goal of $100 billion in bilateral trade by 2030. India's President Draupadi Murmu visited Siachen base camp in Ladakh and paid tributes at the Siachen War Memorial, a symbol of soldiers' sacrifice since the Indian Army began Operation Meghdoot on the Siachen Glacier on the 13th of April 1984. Addressing the soldiers, the President said that as the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, she felt very proud of them and that all citizens salute their bravery. The soldiers face severe weather conditions in Siachen. In difficult situations like heavy snowfall and minus 50 degrees Celsius temperature, they are at the front ever vigilant. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar graced the 83rd Foundation Day celebrations of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research in New Delhi. Vice President Dhankar formally launched the CSIR Thematic Exhibition 2024. This exhibition showcases CSIR's groundbreaking research and innovations, highlighting India's scientific and technological advancements. India's pharmaceutical sector is on an impressive trajectory. The pharma sector is expected to reach $65 billion by 2024 and anticipated to double its value to $130 billion by 2030. India is now looking to position itself as the world's pharmaceutical innovation hub, offering high-tech solutions and global compliance standards. So what's the way forward for the pharma sector? Well, DD India's Anil Thomas has the details.
India is no longer the pharmacy of the world, but is emerging as the hub of innovation in pharmaceuticals. This has been possible through delivering affordable, quality-assured medicines and addressing the unmet needs of patients worldwide. With pharmaceutical exports to over 180 countries, India is now the capital of generic medicines in the world.
Drugs and pharma and Meditech is the fourth largest merchandise export from India. 9 out of top 25 generic firms are located in India. And going forward, our contribution to the humankind will increase.
Indian pharmaceutical industry has achieved high growth rate, largely in terms of volumes, during the last 2 decades and has seen a strong footprint globally in generic segment and is the third largest in terms of volume and 13th largest in terms of value. A report on the future of pharma industry was also released in the annual Pharma Awards.
The AI-related drug discovery market in India has grown at a pace of around 39% CAGR, and it was in 2021 around 13.8 billion, and is likely to reach about 310 by 2031. From just being a medical tourism hub and a producer of few affordable medicines, we will soon see India becoming the pharmaceutical innovation hub of the world.
ASSOCHAM Pharma Excellence Award for 2023-24 were given across various categories. Mankind bagged the Pharma Company of the Year, while Martin & Harris bagged the Excellence in Supply Chain Logistics and Good Distribution Practices.
Importance of it has been felt because in pharma industry, as the PM has been always stressing on Gati Shakti, that's the new project the PM and government has launched. It enforces the importance of supply chain and distribution in this country, and because no sale is complete unless and until the goods reach to the last end, and COVID has taught us this lesson.
As Indian pharmaceutical companies shift from traditional generic manufacturing to pioneering novel drugs and high-tech solutions, the sector is not only enhancing its global presence but also contributing significantly to improving patient outcomes worldwide. Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world as well. Hong Kong's 2 former editors of a defunct media house are to be sentenced by a local court for sedition charges for publishing an article on the national security crackdown in the city. The editors, Chung Pui Quinn and Patrick Lam, were convicted last month and they have pleaded not guilty. With the ongoing war in Sudan, natives taking refuge in each other's countries are facing difficulties in many forms. Refugees settled in Egypt are facing hardships in registering their children to school due to lack of adequate funds, as well as insufficient paperwork validating their residential status. Speaking at the UNGA meet, Tuvalu Prime Minister Felipe Tio called for a joint effort to address the issue of rising sea levels that endanger the low-lying countries, risking partial or total submersion. This comes after a recent NASA report that has predicted 50% submersion of an atoll of Tuvalu, home to a majority of citizens. Swedish clothing company H&M has scrapped its earnings margin target for the current year due to poor third quarter performance, which is tumbling down to less than 8%. High inflation, low consumer demand and tough competition from rivals has affected the profitability of the world's #2 clothing brand. You're watching DD India Live and news from the world of business now. Australia's inflation rate has come within the RBA's target range in the month of August, easing from 3.5% in July to 2.7%. Inflation is now at its lowest level in 3 years, with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese saying progress is being made but there's more to do. He added that helping countrymen facing tough situations is our top priority.
Yesterday's figures that show that inflation is the lowest point that it's been for 3 years, down to 2.7 from 3.5. And that represents half of what we inherited and 1/3 of where it peaked. Now, we know there's more work to do, but that's why we've taken action, like our reduction in power bills. That's why we've done cheaper childcare, fee-free TAFE, all of these measures to take that cost of living pressure off people. We know also that our supermarkets have been having a bit of a lend of people. That's why the ACCC are taking both Woolworths and Coles to court, because they've been increasing their prices by $1.50, then decreasing it by 50 cents and pretending that things are cheaper. Now that's sneaky and it's not on. It's not the Australian way. That's why we're changing the voluntary code of conduct to a mandated code of conduct to make sure that when you go to the supermarket and you're under cost of living pressures, you're looking for a bargain, you're looking for value, you're able to trust what you're being told by those supermarkets.
Now, the drop puts the rate below the Reserve Bank of Australia's target range of 2 to 3% for the first time since August 2021. Australia's hawkish approach appears at odds with the US Federal Reserve. The Fed last Wednesday had moved to cut rates by 50 basis points despite the latest inflation reading in August at around 2.5%, above the US Central Bank's target of 2%. Facebook owner Meta Platforms showed off its first working prototype of augmented reality glasses called Orion during its annual Connect conference at its California headquarters on Wednesday. The Orion glasses are made of magnesium alloy and are powered by custom silicon designed by Meta. Users will be able to interact with the glasses through hand tracking, voice and wrist-based neural interface. Zuckerberg in fact called the Orion dev kit and said Meta planned to work on making it smaller, sleeker and more low cost for consumers later on. The platform also showcased updates to its existing virtual reality and artificial intelligence products. India's benchmark Sensex rallied 666 points to close at a fresh record high on Thursday, following buying in auto and banking shares amid gains in global markets. The BSE Sensex jumped 7.78% to settle at a record of 85,836.12 amid monthly expiry in the derivative segment. As many as 28 Sensex stocks advanced and 2 declined. Meanwhile, markets in the Asia-Pacific region rebounded on Thursday morning, with the Chinese markets expected to continue their upward momentum. Global stock indices mostly eased on Wednesday along with energy shares, with US Treasury yields rising as investors stuck to the view that the Federal Reserve will be able to create a soft landing for the US economy. On Wall Street, the Dow and S&P 500 ended lower after hitting record highs in early trade, while Nasdaq was flat at close and the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.7%. You're watching DD India Live. Now it's time to get you some sporting updates. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted India's chess contingent at his residence in New Delhi. During the freewheeling discussion, many ideas and key moments were exchanged. Players also shared light-hearted moments and old memories with the Prime Minister. Here's the report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted India's 45th Chess Olympiad's gold medal winning Indian contingent at his residence in New Delhi. During the interaction, the Indian chess players exchanged their memories and key moments with the Prime Minister. At the freewheeling interaction, the players said that they were elated to hear that Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated them during the New York Diaspora event, where the reverberations were heard across international borders.
हम लोग बस में से आ रहे थे और आपका स्पीच हम लोग लाइव देख रहे थे और आपने वहाँ पे अनाउंस कर दिया वर्ल्ड में कि भारत ने ये ऐतिहासिक 2 गोल्ड मेडल जीते और हम सब लोग उस टाइम साथ में बस थे. हमें इतनी खुशी हुई सबको.
Indian women chess players Harika Dronawali and Tanya Sachdev both thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for continuously uplifting their morale before and after the event.
सर मैंने हमेशा देखा है कि आप हर स्पोर्ट और हर स्पोर्ट पर्सन को इतना इनकरेज करते हैं और इतना सपोर्ट करते हैं. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आपका स्पोर्ट्स से बहुत बड़ा लगाव है.
आई थिंक हमें ही नहीं ये इतना इम्पोर्टेंट है बाकी चेस जो खेलते हैं अभी उनके लिए भी बहुत ज़्यादा इंस्पिरेशन हो गए कि
Talking on the importance of sports development for the country, Prime Minister said it is not only about economical figures that run a country, but sports also stands as an important pillar in a nation's economy.
खेल में भी मैक्सिमम गोल हमारे बच्चे कैसे लाएं, ये जब होता है इतने सारे वर्टिकल, तब देश महान बनता है.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared the memories of chess event organized by him 2 decades ago in Gujarat, where Indian chess player Vantika also participated as a young chess player.
आपने जब इतना मुझे एनकरेज किया ये तो मैं इतना खुश हो गई थी कि मैंने कहा अब तो मुझे पूरी जान लगा देनी है चेस में.
During the interaction with the Prime Minister, all the players shared valuable moments and key ideas as well on how to improve the game, keeping technology in mind.
With AI, the chess has evolved. There has been new technology, and the computers have become much stronger now. And it is showing a lot of new ideas in chess, and we are still learning from it. And I think there is a lot to learn from it.
Sir, I think अभी ऐसा हो गया है कि AI के टूल्स सबको अवेलेबल हो गया है क्योंकि डेमोक्रेटाइज हो गया है और अभी हम जरूर प्रिपरेशन में यूज करते हैं.
India came back from Budapest registering a glorious performance, bagging multiple gold medals at 45th Chess Olympiad. With this achievement, India is witnessing a new era in the world of chess with many more milestones in the pipeline for the country. Sports Desk, DD India.
Indian chess grandmaster Arjun Erigaisi on Thursday said that all players being in good shape before the Chess Olympiad was the key reason for success for India at the Chess Olympiad. Erigaisi also said that sports in India is not only about cricket, and sports fans now are looking beyond it. Arjun talked to DD India's Narayan Singh. Listen in.
A historic performance by the Indian chess team, both in open and the women's section at the Chess Olympiad in Budapest. And right now I'm joined by Arjun Erigaisi. Arjun, very congratulations. Arjun, a very stupendous performance both in the open and the women's section. Definitely.
All right, let's now take you across live in New Delhi, where India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is virtually inaugurating 3 Param Brothers supercomputing systems and a high-performance computing system for weather and climate.
माननीय इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एवं सूचना प्रौद्योगिकी मंत्री जी, माननीय राज्य मंत्री जी पृथ्वी विज्ञान मंत्रालय, उपस्थित अन्य सभी सम्मानित महानुभाव, यह मेरे लिए अत्यंत गौरव और हर्ष की विषय है कि आज मुझे आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का स्वागत करने का सुअवसर प्राप्त हुआ है। मैं बड़े ही आदर एवं सम्मान के साथ उनका हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता हूं। आज के कार्यक्रम में उपस्थित सभी माननीय मंत्रीगण, संस्थानों के प्रमुखों, वैज्ञानिकों, साथी अधिकारियों, सहयोगियों तथा गणमान्य अतिथियों का भी मैं हृदय से स्वागत करता हूं। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में वर्ष 2015 में राष्ट्रीय सुपर कंप्यूटिंग मिशन कार्यक्रम प्रारंभ किया गया था। कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत में सुपर कंप्यूटर की अधिकांश हिस्से विदेशों से आयात किए जाते थे। पिछले 9 वर्षों में सीडैक एवं अन्य संस्थाओं के वैज्ञानिकों के परिश्रम से अब परम रुद्रा सुपर कंप्यूटरों का भारत में ही डिजाइन एवं विकास किया जाता है। मुझे यह बताते हुए अत्यंत गर्व और खुशी है कि आज माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी द्वारा लोकार्पित किए जा रहे तीनों सुपर कंप्यूटर पहले पूर्ण रूप से स्वदेशी सुपर कंप्यूटर हैं। इनका उपयोग जायंट मीटरवेव रेडियो टेलीस्कोप पुणे द्वारा खगोल विज्ञान में, इंटर यूनिवर्सिटी एक्सेलरेटर सेंटर नई दिल्ली द्वारा परमाणु विज्ञान में तथा एसएन बोस सेंटर कोलकाता द्वारा विज्ञान के भिन्न भिन्न क्षेत्रों में नए वैज्ञानिक परीक्षण के लिए किया जाएगा। इसी तरह यह कार्यक्रम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की मेक इन इंडिया की कल्पना को साकार करता है। इसी प्रकार पृथ्वी एवं विज्ञान मंत्रालय द्वारा हाई परफॉर्मेंस कंप्यूटर सिस्टम्स की स्थापना की गई है, जिसका उपयोग इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ ट्रॉपिकल मेट्रोलॉजी पुणे और नेशनल सेंटर फॉर मीडियम रेंज वेदर फोरकास्टिंग नोएडा द्वारा मौसम एवं जलवायु से संबंधित अध्ययनों के लिए किया जाएगा। सबसे पहले मैं आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से अनुरोध करता हूं कि 3 परम रुद्रा सुपर कंप्यूटिंग सिस्टम्स को रिमोट का बटन दबाकर लॉन्च करने की कृपा करें।
From decoding the secrets of the cosmos to driving revolutionary advances in medicine, agriculture, climate sciences, and energy management, India's supercomputers' journey represent the pinnacle of technological innovation, propelling us into the new paths of modern progress. Under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, the National Supercomputing Mission is being jointly steered by MITI and DST, executed by CDAC and IISc, carrying forward the legacy of Atmanirbhar Bharat under Phase 3 of NSM.
सुपर कंप्यूटिंग सेंटर परम शिवाय की शुरुआत से नेशनल सुपर कंप्यूटिंग मिशन को गति मिलेगी।
CDAC is establishing Param Rudra, state-of-the-art supercomputing systems across the country. These systems are based on Rudra servers, designed, developed and manufactured in India. CDAC has deployed a 3 petaflops supercomputing system at Inter-University Accelerator Center, Delhi with 650 Rudra servers. This facility will support research in medical treatments, energy production, environmental monitoring and many other related domains and facilitate researchers of more than 350 universities and institutions under IUAC. The giant meter wave radio telescope GMRT in Maharashtra, operated by the National Center for Radio Astrophysics (NCRA), is one of the world's largest and most sensitive radio telescopes. CDAC has commissioned a 1 petaflop Param Rudra supercomputing system equipped with GPUs enhancing GMRT's sensitivity to low and mid radio frequencies, enabling advanced studies in radio astronomy and the interstellar medium. An 838 teraflops Param Rudra supercomputer at SN Bose National Center of Basic Sciences, Kolkata features 180 Rudra servers, facilitating researchers to address complex problems like material science, earth science, high energy physics, cosmology, and astrophysics. It also serves a broad range of users from various premier research institutes in and around Kolkata. These 3 Param Rudra facilities are powered by CDAC's system software stack, providing easy provisioning, advanced real-time monitoring and management. This commences a new chapter towards self-reliance in high-performance computing, ultimately leading to exascale. Supercomputers used for advanced research and data analytics can significantly impact the agricultural sector. By leveraging these powerful NSM systems, researchers can develop advanced seeds, improve fertilizers, and enhance soil quality. Supercomputing also enables more accurate weather forecasting, helping farmers make informed decisions. These advancements ultimately boost crop yields, optimize resource usage, and increase farmers' incomes, driving growth and sustainability in agriculture. India has pole vaulted in HPC technologies. This is the journey of India's supercomputers, a story of innovation, resilience, and a future filled with limitless possibilities in solving grand challenge problems, thereby enhancing the quality of research for the benefit of mankind. NSM proudly announces the launch of its first in the series of indigenously designed, developed and manufactured in India supercomputers. Rudra, Hamara Sankalp, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Vikasit Bharat.
अब मैं अनुरोध करता हूं GMRT NCRA के प्रोफेसर श्री जयंता रॉय से अपना अनुभव व्यक्त करने का कष्ट करें।
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी नमस्कार, मैं प्रोफेसर जयंता रॉय फ्रॉम NCRA TIFR GMRT में रिसर्च करता हूं। आज हमें अधिक प्रसन्नता है कि ये परम रुद्र सिस्टम जो GMRT में आपके द्वारा इंस्टॉल और इनोग्रेट करने वाला है। सो NCRA TIFR नेशनल सेंटर फॉर रेडियो एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स जो डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एटॉमिक एनर्जी के अंदर काम करते हैं, वी आर एक्चुअली established and developed the giant meter wave radio telescope, which is one of the unique, even more successful engineering development and as well as scientific research equipment. And now this Param Rudra system, which is built on this indigenously developed Rudra server, getting integrated into the GMRT, which is actually making this commensal search for first radio transient sky. This is one of the emerging field in the research where Indian scientists and engineers can take a lead role, which is the one we are looking for. Not only the hardware, the software which is based on the AI and big data science, these are actually built on the software written by our research students and professors, are all aligned with the approved Indian AI missions and looking forward towards the Vikasit Bharat. The system will be the unique one before the mega science project like this will come online, where nations can take a lead role in that. नमस्कार माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, GMRT NCRA के ओर से आपको बहुत बहुत
नेक्स्ट इंटर यूनिवर्सिटी एक्सेलरेटर सेंटर से रिसर्च वैज्ञानिक श्री सुमित कुकरेती से अनुरोध है कि वे अपना अनुभव साझा करें।
नमस्कार माननीय प्रधानमंत्री महोदय, मेरा नाम सुमित कुकरेती है और मैं IUSC न्यू दिल्ली में रिसर्च एसोसिएट के रूप में कार्यरत हूँ और मुझे परम सौभाग्य मिला है कि आज IUSC न्यू दिल्ली में आपके द्वारा जो है इस परम रुद्र फैसिलिटी का उद्घाटन किया जा रहा है। सामान्यतः विज्ञान में किसी भी शोध कार्य को करने के लिए मूलतः सैद्धांतिक रूप से, प्रयोगात्मक रूप से एवं कंप्यूटेशनल और सिमुलेशन के माध्यम से कार्य किया जाता है। तो इसमें कंप्यूटेशनल और सिमुलेशन माध्यम से कार्य को करने के लिए सुपर कंप्यूटिंग फैसिलिटीज की बहुत महत्वपूर्ण योगदान होता है। तो NSM राष्ट्रीय सुपर कंप्यूटिंग मिशन द्वारा प्रदान की जा रही इस सेवा के लिए हम बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद व्यक्त करते हैं। और मेरा खुद का भी काफी अनुभव रहा है परम शिवाय परम स्मृति को प्रयोग करते हुए। लेकिन आज जो आपके द्वारा की पेटाफ्लो फैसिलिटी की परम रुद्र जो ये सुविधा प्रदान की जा रही है, इसका अपने आप में बहुत महत्व है, क्योंकि 3 पेटाफ्लो फैसिलिटी और उसके साथ हाई मेमोरी और हाई नंबर ऑफ नोड्स की जो फैसिलिटी है, वो किसी भी रियलिस्टिक और एक्यूरेट सिमुलेशन को करने के लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हो जाती है, जिसके लिए आजकल हम ज्यादातर जो है मूलतः ज्यादातर विद्यार्थी इस लेवल का जो क्रिटिकल रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम्स है को नहीं सोच पाते थे, क्योंकि इसमें बहुत ज्यादा कंप्यूटेशनल रिसोर्सेज की आवश्यकता होती थी। आज ये 3 पेटाफ्लो फैसिलिटीज से मैं ये अनुभव कर पा रहा हूँ, मैं खुद भी काफी एक्साइटेड हूँ इसको यूज करने के लिए, और मैं ये आशा करता हूँ कि IUAC के यूजर्स एवं वैज्ञानिकों द्वारा इसका प्रयोग करते हुए जरूर इस बहुत ही अच्छे जो है वैज्ञानिक परिणामों की तरफ आगे बढ़ा जाएगा। और इसके साथ साथ हमारी अन्य देशों पर जो निर्भरता है सुपर कंप्यूटिंग फैसिलिटी को लेकर के, वो उसमें जरूर रूप से कमी आएगी। धन्यवाद माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी महोदय।
अब मेरा अनुरोध है SN बोस इंस्टीट्यूट की रिसर्च स्कॉलर सुश्री शहीरा शहीद से कि वे अपना विचार व्यक्त करें।
नमस्कार आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी। I am Shahira Shahid from SN Bose National Center for Basic Sciences. So first of all, I want to thank you for the Param Rudra High Performance Computing Facility developed under India's National Supercomputing Mission. So it represents a significant leap in high performance computing, providing a powerful platform for computing research in diverse fields like biophysics, material science, high energy physics, and many more. So in my field of interest, high performance computing is essential for simulating large biological systems which involve millions of atoms. And in fact, the integration of machine learning with high energy, with your supercomputing facilities would revolutionize the predictive modeling and drug designing. And also in, let's say in the field of material science, it will enable the design and analysis of materials with enhanced properties by accelerating the data-driven approaches. So by integrating, I think, AI techniques with high-performance computing, you have given us a huge leverage in this fast-paced world. And Param Rudra is aimed to driving innovation and enabling India's scientific community to tackle some of the most challenging problems in this field. So on behalf of SN Bose National Center for Basic Sciences, I would like to thank you for providing us with this facility.
अब मैं आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से अनुरोध करता हूं कि पृथ्वी विज्ञान मंत्रालय के HPC कंप्यूटिंग सिस्टम्स को रिमोट का बटन दबाकर लॉन्च करने की कृपा करें।
खराब मौसम अब केवल सुर्खियों तक सीमित नहीं रह गया है। चक्रवात, बाढ़, लू और सूखा हमारे दैनिक जीवन, अर्थव्यवस्था और सुरक्षा पर गहरा प्रभाव डाल रहे हैं। हाई परफॉर्मेंस कंप्यूटिंग या HPC तेज और सटीक मौसम पूर्वानुमानों का अहम जरिया है, जो हमें तब जरूरी जानकारी उपलब्ध कराता है जब उसकी सबसे अधिक आवश्यकता होती है। भारत सरकार ने IITM पुणे और NCMRWF नोएडा जैसे प्रमुख संस्थानों में HPC के क्षेत्र में महत्वपूर्ण निवेश किया है, जहां भारत के सबसे शक्तिशाली सुपर कंप्यूटर मौसम पूर्वानुमान के लिए समर्पित हैं। इन नए HPC सिस्टम की स्थापना से भारत की मौसम सेवाएं और अधिक सटीक, विश्वसनीय और सुदृढ़ हो जाएंगी। इनकी अत्याधुनिक तकनीक मौसम की बेहद सटीक भविष्यवाणियों को संभव बनाती है, जिससे तूफानों की पूर्व चेतावनी, बाढ़ की सटीक भविष्यवाणी और विश्वसनीय मौसमी अनुमान प्रदान किए जा सकते हैं। किसानों से लेकर आपातकालीन सेवाओं तक HPC समुदायों को सशक्त बनाता है, जीवन की रक्षा करता है और एक सुदृढ़ भविष्य की नींव रखता है। आज माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी नए HPC सिस्टम्स का उद्घाटन करेंगे।
अब मैं इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ ट्रॉपिकल मेट्रोलॉजी पुणे के वैज्ञानिक डॉक्टर अंकुश श्रीवास्तव से अनुरोध करता हूं कि वे अपना अनुभव बताने का कष्ट करें।
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री महोदय, नमस्कार। मेरा नाम अंकुर श्रीवास्तव है और मैं भारतीय उष्ण देशीय मौसम विज्ञान संस्थान पुणे में वैज्ञानिक के पद पर कार्यरत हूँ। यह सिस्टम जो आप मेरे पीछे देख रहे हैं, यह नया सुपर कंप्यूटर है जिसका नाम है अर्थ। इस नए सुपर कंप्यूटर की क्षमता पुराने सुपर कंप्यूटर की अपेक्षा 3 गुना है। This new supercomputer will help us enhance weather and climate forecasts, will help us to provide high resolution weather forecast from the current 12 kilometers to 6 kilometers. It will help us in enhancing the forecasts of extreme weather events such as thunderstorms, hailstorms, landslides, etc. This new supercomputer also houses graphics processing units which will help us leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning in enhancing the country's capability at accurate weather and climate forecasts at all time scales. हमें ऐसा उत्कृष्ट सिस्टम देने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। मुझे यह कहते हुए अत्यंत गर्व हो रहा है कि इन नए सुपर कंप्यूटर्स के आने के बाद भारत की गिनती उन शीर्ष देशों के साथ की जाएगी जिन्होंने सटीक मौसम पूर्वानुमानों के लिए इतने बड़े सुपर कंप्यूटर्स में देश को समर्पित किया है। धन्यवाद।
नेशनल सेंटर फॉर मीडियम रेंज वेदर फोरकास्टिंग नोएडा के वैज्ञानिक डॉक्टर श्रीमती अमर ज्योति जी से अनुरोध है कि वे अपना अनुभव साझा करें।
नमस्कार आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, आई एम डॉक्टर के अमर ज्योति। I am working as scientist at National Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting under Ministry of Earth Science. Thank you, sir, for giving me an opportunity to introduce this new high-performance supercomputer to you. The augmentation of this system is 3 times more, and it is named as Arunika. This Arunika HPC system will advance the understanding of weather, resulting in better predictions and improved weather services for the nation. The major benefits of this system will help us to improve block-level forecast and enhancing the model resolution globally, regionally, and at nation level, improving short, medium, and extended range weather forecasting tools, utilizing advanced numerical techniques and atmosphere ocean coupled models with probabilistic forecast will be helpful for us to give an improved weather forecast, urban meteorology, air quality, fog forecast for many cities in India. This new HPC facility will help us to develop models using AI and ML techniques. Sir, we are confident that with this Arunika will help in provide more reliable and accurate weather forecasting system, and we will be able to improve our cyclone forecast, drought forecast, etc. Thank you. धन्यवाद।
अब मैं माननीय इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एवं सूचना प्रौद्योगिकी मंत्री जी से अनुरोध करता हूं कि वे हमें संबोधित करें।
परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, आज उपस्थित सभी डायरेक्टर्स, साइंटिस्ट, स्टूडेंट्स और सभी मित्रों और साथ में ऑनरेबल डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी, आप सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पिछले 10 वर्षों में भारत में इनोवेशन की एक नई परंपरा आरंभ की है। अगर हम देखें इन 10 वर्षों में प्रधानमंत्री जी के मेक इन इंडिया और डिजाइन इन इंडिया कार्यक्रम के तहत इतनी बड़ी बड़ी उपलब्धियां आई है जिनका आज से 10 साल पहले इमेजिन करना भी मुश्किल होता था कि हम भारत में ऐसी चीजें बना सकते हैं। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो सबसे बड़ी हम सब युवाओं को, हम सब नौजवानों को, सभी साइंटिस्ट और इंजीनियर्स को जो सबसे बड़ी सौगात दी है वो है हमें अपनी क्षमता में कॉन्फिडेंस लाने की एक बहुत बड़ी शक्ति। जब प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भारत के इंजीनियर्स पे, टैलेंट पे कॉन्फिडेंस रखा तो भारत में टेलीकॉम का 4G और 5G बना और अब करीब 25,000 टावर पे लग चुका है और आने वाले समय में एक्सपोर्ट होने की तैयारी है। जब प्रधानमंत्री जी ने रेलवे के इंजीनियर्स पे कॉन्फिडेंस रखा तो वंदे भारत बनी और उसके वर्जन 1, 2, 3 नई नई तरह की नमो भारत ट्रेन, वंदे भारत स्लीपर सब बनने लगे। यही चीजें पहले विदेशों से लाई जाती थी। जब प्रधानमंत्री जी ने डिफेंस के प्रोडक्शन इंजीनियर्स पे कॉन्फिडेंस रखा तो आर्टिलरी गन्स बनने लगी, शिपिंग सिस्टम्स बनने लगे, डिफेंस के एरोस्पेस के ऐसे सिस्टम्स बनने लगे which we would have never thought that we can ever manufacture them in India. It used to be almost always imported, and in today's world, in the last 10 years, there is so much change in the mindset that we are today thinking, designing, manufacturing, testing, and so many times exporting these systems. ये जो सारी बड़ी उपलब्धियां हैं, ये माइंडसेट चेंज के कारण हो पाई है, और ये प्रधानमंत्री जी का देश के सभी साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी का, इंजीनियरिंग कम्युनिटी पर बहुत बड़ा योगदान है। आज का दिन भी इसी गौरवमयी इतिहास में स्वर्णिम अक्षरों में लिखा जाएगा। परम रुद्र सुपर कंप्यूटिंग सिस्टम्स को माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने आज इनॉग्रेट किया है। बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि है। सबसे और आनंददायक चीज है वो ये कि ये दोनों के दोनों ये कंप्यूटर्स तीनों के तीनों इनके सर्वर्स भारत में बने हैं। भारत की दो कंपनियां विविडियन और केन्स ने तो अभी हाल ही में सेमीकंडक्टर बनाने का काम भी चालू किया है। इन कंपनियों ने इन सर्वर्स को बनाया है, जो अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि है कि भारत में डिजाइन किए हुए कंप्यूटर्स का भारत में ही मैन्युफैक्चरिंग होने लगा है। साथियों, हम सभी जानते हैं कि क्लाइमेट चेंज हमारे सामने एक बहुत बड़ी चुनौती है और एक रियल चैलेंज है। हम देख रहे हैं किस तरह से अचानक बारिश आती है, अचानक सूखा है। जो टेम्परेचर नॉर्मल कई वर्षों तक रहता था, अब उसमें बड़े वेरिएशंस आने लग गए। इन परिस्थितियों में देश के लिए सुपर कंप्यूटिंग फैसिलिटी और उस सुपर कंप्यूटिंग फैसिलिटी को यूज करके क्रिएटिंग न्यू मॉडल्स which will help our farmers, which will help our governments across the country, which will help our villages, which will help our cities, और हर नागरिक के जीवन में जो क्लाइमेट चेंज के कारण चैलेंजेस आ रहे थे, उन चैलेंजेस को फेस करने के लिए ये सुपर कंप्यूटर्स बहुत मदददायक होंगे। मैं माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का बहुत अभिनंदन करता हूँ, सभी इंजीनियर्स का, सभी साइंटिस्ट का अभिनंदन करता हूँ, सभी स्टूडेंट कम्युनिटी जो कि इस पूरे प्रोग्राम में और इस पूरे डेवलपमेंट प्रोसेस में पार्टिसिपेट किया, आप सबका अभिनंदन करता हूं कि इतनी बड़ी उपलब्धि देश की। और ये जैसा प्रधानमंत्री जी हमेशा कहते हैं, ये तो केवल ट्रेलर है, अभी तो बहुत बड़ी जर्नी, बहुत मेहनत करके देश को और भी नई बुलंदियों तक हम सबको पहुंचाना है। मैं प्रधानमंत्री जी को और सभी साथियों को नमस्कार करता हूं, धन्यवाद देता हूं। जय हिंद।
अब वो अवसर है जिसकी हम सब को उत्सुकता से प्रतीक्षा थी। मैं अत्यंत विनम्रता के साथ माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से अनुरोध करता हूं कि हम सबको अपने वचनों से संबोधित करने की कृपा। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी।
नमस्कार। इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स और आईटी मिनिस्टर श्रीमान अश्विनी वैष्णव जी, देश की विभिन्न रिसर्च संस्थाओं के निर्देशक, देश के वरिष्ठ वैज्ञानिक, इंजीनियर्स, रिसर्चर्स, स्टूडेंट्स, अन्य महानुभाव, देवी और सज्जनों, आज साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी की दुनिया में भारत के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि का दिन है। 21वीं सदी का भारत कैसे साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी और रिसर्च को प्राथमिकता देते हुए आगे बढ़ रहा है, आज का दिन इसका भी प्रतिबिंब है। आज का भारत संभावनाओं के अनंत आकाश में नए अवसरों को तराश रहा है। हमारे वैज्ञानिकों और इंजीनियर्स ने 3 परम रुद्र सुपर कंप्यूटर्स बनाए हैं। ये 3 सुपर कंप्यूटर्स दिल्ली, पुणे और कोलकाता में इंस्टॉल किए गए हैं। आज ही देश के लिए अर्का और अरुणिक 2 हाई परफॉर्मेंस कंप्यूटिंग सिस्टम्स का उद्घाटन भी किया गया है। मैं इस अवसर पर देश के वैज्ञानिक समुदाय को, इंजीनियर्स को और सभी देशवासियों को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। भाइयों बहनों, मेरे तीसरे कार्यकाल की शुरुआत में मैंने युवाओं के लिए 100 दिन के अलावा 25 अतिरिक्त दिन देने का वादा किया था। उसी क्रम में आज मैं ये सुपर कंप्यूटर्स देश के मेरे युवाओं को डेडिकेट करना चाहूंगा। भारत के युवा वैज्ञानिकों को ऐसी स्टेट ऑफ आर्ट टेक्नोलॉजी भारत में ही मिले, इस दिशा में ये सुपर कंप्यूटर्स अहम भूमिका निभाएंगे। आज जिन 3 सुपर कंप्यूटर्स का लोकार्पण हुआ है, फिजिक्स से लेकर अर्थ साइंस और कॉस्मोलॉजी तक ये एडवांस रिसर्च में मदद करेंगे। ये वो क्षेत्र हैं जिनमें आज का साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी वर्ल्ड भविष्य की दुनिया को देख रहा है। साथियों, आज डिजिटल रिवॉल्यूशन के इस दौर में कंप्यूटिंग कैपेसिटी नेशनल कैपेबिलिटी का पर्याय बनती जा रही है। साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी के क्षेत्र में रिसर्च के अवसर, इकोनॉमी के लिए ग्रोथ के अवसर, राष्ट्र का सामरिक सामर्थ्य, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट की कैपेसिटी, ईज ऑफ लिविंग, ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, ऐसा कोई क्षेत्र नहीं है जो सीधे तौर पर टेक्नोलॉजी और कंप्यूटिंग कैपेबिलिटी पर निर्भर न हो। ये इंडस्ट्री 4.0 में भारत की सफलता का सबसे बड़ा आधार है। इस रिवॉल्यूशन में हमारा शहर बिट्स और बाइट्स में नहीं, बल्कि टेराबाइट्स और पेटाबाइट्स में होना चाहिए। और इसलिए आज की ये उपलब्धि इस बात का प्रमाण है कि हम सही दिशा में सही गति से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। साथियों, आज का नया भारत विकास और टेक्नोलॉजी में केवल बाकी दुनिया की बराबरी करके संतुष्ट नहीं हो सकता। नया भारत अपने वैज्ञानिक अनुसंधानों से मानवता की सेवा को अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मानता है। यह हमारा दायित्व है। अनुसंधान से आत्मनिर्भरता, साइंस फॉर सेल्फ रिलायंस, आज ये हमारा मंत्र बन चुका है। इसके लिए हमने डिजिटल इंडिया, स्टार्टअप इंडिया, मेक इन इंडिया जैसे कई ऐतिहासिक अभियान शुरू किए हैं। भारत की फ्यूचर जनरेशन में साइंटिफिक टेम्पर मजबूत हो, इसके लिए स्कूलों में 10,000 से ज्यादा अटल टिंकरिंग लैब्स भी बनवाई गई है। स्टेम सब्जेक्ट की एजुकेशन के लिए स्कॉलरशिप भी बढ़ाई गई है। इस साल के बजट में 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए के रिसर्च फंड की घोषणा भी की गई है। प्रयास यही है कि भारत 21वीं सदी की दुनिया को अपने इनोवेशन से एम्पावर करे, दुनिया को मजबूत बनाए। साथियों, आज ऐसा कोई सेक्टर नहीं जिसमें भारत नए निर्णय नहीं ले रहा, नई नीतियां नहीं बना रहा। एक उदाहरण स्पेस सेक्टर का है। आज स्पेस सेक्टर में भारत एक बड़ी पावर बन चुका है। दूसरे देशों ने कई बिलियन डॉलर खर्च करके जो सक्सेस हासिल की, हमारे वैज्ञानिकों ने वही काम सीमित संसाधनों में करके दिखाया है। अपने इसी जज्बे को लेकर भारत चंद्रमा के दक्षिणी ध्रुव पर पहुंचने वाला पहला देश बना है। इसी संकल्प को लेकर भारत अब मिशन गगनयान की तैयारी कर रहा है। भारत का मिशन गगनयान केवल अंतरिक्ष तक पहुंचने का नहीं, बल्कि हमारे वैज्ञानिक सपनों की असीम ऊंचाइयों को छूने का मिशन है। आपने देखा है 2035 तक भारत ने अपने स्पेस स्टेशन को बनाने का लक्ष्य रखा है। अभी कुछ ही दिन पहले सरकार ने इसके पहले चरण को मंजूरी दे दी है। साथियों, आज सेमीकंडक्टर्स भी डेवलपमेंट का एसेंशियल एलिमेंट बन चुके हैं। भारत सरकार ने इस दिशा में भी इंडिया सेमीकंडक्टर मिशन जैसा महत्वपूर्ण अभियान लॉन्च किया है। इतने कम समय में हमें इसके पॉजिटिव रिजल्ट दिखने लगे हैं। भारत अपना खुद का सेमीकंडक्टर इकोसिस्टम तैयार कर रहा है, जो ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन का अहम हिस्सा होगा। आज 3 परम रुद्र सुपर कंप्यूटर्स के जरिए भारत के इस बहुआयामी वैज्ञानिक विकास को और मजबूती मिलेगी। साथियों, कोई भी देश बड़ी उपलब्धियां तब हासिल करता है जब उसका विजन बड़ा होता है। भारत का सुपर कंप्यूटर से लेकर क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग तक का सफर इसी बड़े विजन का परिणाम है। एक समय सुपर कंप्यूटर गिने चुने देशों की महारत माने जाते थे, लेकिन हमने 2015 में नेशनल सुपर कंप्यूटिंग मिशन शुरू किया और आज भारत सुपर कंप्यूटर्स की दिशा में बड़े देशों की बराबरी कर रहा है और हम यहीं रुकने वाले नहीं है। क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग जैसी टेक्नोलॉजी में भारत अभी से लीड ले रहा है। क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग के क्षेत्र में भारत को आगे ले जाने में हमारे नेशनल क्वांटम मिशन की बड़ी भूमिका होगी। ये नई टेक्नोलॉजी आने वाले समय में हमारी दुनिया को पूरी तरह से बदल देने वाली है। इससे आईटी सेक्टर, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्री, एमएसएमई और स्टार्टअप सेक्टर में अभूतपूर्व बदलाव आएंगे, नए अवसर बनेंगे और इसमें भारत पूरी दुनिया को एक नई दिशा देने की सोच के साथ आगे बढ़ रहा है। साथियों, विज्ञान की सार्थकता केवल आविष्कार और विकास में नहीं, बल्कि सबसे अंतिम व्यक्ति की आशा आकांक्षाओं को, उसकी एस्पिरेशंस को पूरा करने में है। आज अगर हम हाईटेक हो रहे हैं तो ये भी सुनिश्चित कर रहे हैं हमारी हाईटेक टेक्नोलॉजी गरीबों की ताकत बने। भारत की डिजिटल इकोनॉमी, हमारा यूपीआई इसका एक बड़ा उदाहरण है। हाल ही में हमने मिशन मौसम भी लॉन्च किया, जिसमें वेदर रेडी और क्लाइमेट स्मार्ट भारत बनाने का हमारा सपना पूरा होगा। आज भी सुपर कंप्यूटर्स और हाई परफॉर्मेंस कंप्यूटिंग सिस्टम जैसी जो उपलब्धियां देश ने हासिल की है, इनके परिणाम देश के गांव गरीब की सेवा का माध्यम बनेंगे। एचपीसी सिस्टम के आने के बाद मौसम से जुड़ी भविष्यवाणी करने में देश की वैज्ञानिक क्षमता, हमारी ताकत बहुत बढ़ जाएगी। अब हम हाइपर लोकल यानी बिल्कुल स्थानीय स्तर पर मौसम से जुड़ी ज्यादा सटीक जानकारी दे पाएंगे, यानी एक गांव उस गांव के इलाके तक की बता पाएंगे। सुपर कंप्यूटर जब एक दूर दराज के गांव में मौसम और मिट्टी का विश्लेषण करता है तो ये केवल विज्ञान की उपलब्धि भर नहीं है, बल्कि यह हजारों लाखों जिंदगियों के जीवन में बहुत बड़ा बदलाव है। सुपर कंप्यूटर तय करेगा कि मेरे छोटे से छोटे इलाके के किसान के पास दुनिया की बेस्ट नॉलेज उपलब्ध होगी। इसका बहुत बड़ा लाभ अब छोटे से छोटे गांव में खेती कर रहे किसानों को होगा, क्योंकि इससे अब किसान अपनी फसल के लिए सही निर्णय ले पाएगा। इसका लाभ समुद्र में मछली पकड़ने जाने वाले मछुआरों को होगा। हम किसानों को होने वाले नुकसान को कम करने के लिए नए तौर तरीके निकाल पाएंगे। इससे इंश्योरेंस बीमा, जो फसल बीमा होता है, इंश्योरेंस योजनाओं की सुविधा पाने में भी मदद मिलेगी। हम इसकी मदद से आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, एआई और मशीन लर्निंग से जुड़े मॉडल्स बना पाएंगे, जिसका फायदा तमाम स्टेक होल्डर्स को होगा। देश के भीतर सुपर कंप्यूटर्स बनाने की हमारी काबिलियत, ये उपलब्धि देश के सामान्य मानवी के लिए एक गर्व की बात तो है ही। इससे आने वाले समय में देशवासियों के सामान्य वर्ग के जीवन में बड़े बदलाव के रास्ते भी निकलेंगे। आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, एआई और मशीन लर्निंग के इस दौर में सुपर कंप्यूटर्स बहुत बड़ी भूमिका निभाएंगे। जैसे आज भारत ने अपनी स्वदेशी तकनीक से 5G नेटवर्क बनाया है, जैसे आज बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियों के मोबाइल फोन्स भारत में बन रहे हैं, इससे देश की डिजिटल क्रांति को नए पंख लगे हैं। इससे हम टेक्नोलॉजी और उसके फायदों को हर देशवासी तक पहुंचा पाए हैं। इसी तरह भविष्य की तकनीक विकसित करने में हमारा सामर्थ्य, मेक इन इंडिया की हमारी सफलता, ये देश के सामान्य मानवी को आने वाले कल के लिए तैयार करेगी। सुपर कंप्यूटर से हर क्षेत्र में नए शोध होंगे, इनसे नई संभावनाओं का जन्म होगा। इसका लाभ देश के आम लोगों को मिलेगा। वो बाकी दुनिया से पीछे नहीं होंगे, बल्कि कदम से कदम मिलाकर चलेंगे। और मेरे नौजवानों के लिए तो, मेरे देश की युवा शक्ति के लिए, और भारत जब दुनिया का युवा देश है तब आने वाला युग जब विज्ञान और टेक्नोलॉजी से ही चलने वाला है, तो ये नए अवसरों को जन्म देने वाली घटना भी है। मैं देश के नौजवानों को इन सब के लिए विशेष बधाई देता हूं। इन उपलब्धियों के लिए मैं देशवासियों को भी बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। मैं आशा करता हूं हमारे युवा, हमारे जो रिसर्चर्स इन एडवांस फैसिलिटीज का लाभ उठाएंगे, साइंस की फील्ड में नए डोमेन्स को खोलेंगे। एक बार फिर आप सभी को अनेक अनेक शुभकामनाएं। धन्यवाद।
There you go. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just dedicated, virtually inaugurated 3 Param Rudra supercomputing systems in the country. These will be put to use in multiple spheres because these are used for advanced calculations, be it in terms of predicting weather. He said that even at a very micro level, a small area of a village, this system can be used to forecast the weather of that area as well, accurately and effectively. And this is a system that he said he's dedicated to the youth of the country, particularly who are in STEM, because India is doing a lot in those areas, in areas that have to deal with the future, that are tech intense, and a lot of work is being done in that area. And this will further aid that work because this is a capability that only a few nations have, and these are completely indigenously developed. That's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can scan